Today, I want to outline a very common mistake that a lot of newbie sync licensing producers make, and it really comes down to their approach to success with sync licensing. So I'm going to use this analogy of using a fishing pole versus using a net to catch fish. Okay, so you obviously know when you're using a fishing pole, you're pretty much going for one individual fish. When you're using a net, you can capture multiple ones. So I'm going to show you how thinking about the sync licensing world in terms of which one of these tools you should be using to approach your placements will help you understand how to actually do better in this business and not get so tunnel visioned into wanting to get one tiny little goal accomplished, and rather zoom out a little bit more and kind of have a systemic approach, rather than going for a very particular type of placement or a type of client that you want to get your music placed in. And this makes sense by the end of this video, okay? So most people that get started with sync licensing because they just don't know how this industry works, they come in here with a fishing pole, okay? So they cast one line, and a lot of times I'll hear this in the form of an email that says, I've always thought that my music would be great for car commercials, or I've always wanted to hear my song on a Steven Spielberg film, or I've always thought that my music would be great for sports, NBA games or something like that, right? So I hear this very, very often. So many producers have a sort of vision of a particular type of either placement or a client that they want to serve. And sometimes I've heard some producers say, I want my music on this particular TV show. Like, I love this show so much, that would be a dream come true. I really want to get into this business because I want that particular TV show, okay? And any one of those individual particular goals is represented by each one of these fish that you see on the TV screen here, okay? So TV screen, computer screen. So all of these fish can represent either a particular reality show, or let's say sports promos or car commercials or video games or a specific video game. It doesn't matter. Each one of these represents essentially a placement that you can get in this business, okay? So when you have this very specific goal in mind, though, and you want one particular type of placement or one kind of client or one kind of content that you vision your tracks being useful for, you're kind of missing every single one. Here I am pointing at your mic screen, like you can see what I'm doing with my mouse here. You're kind of basically going through and missing a whole bunch of opportunities trying to, let's say, get this tiny little fish down here, because this is the one you've always envisioned that you would do well on. But look at all these other opportunities around you that you are not even aware that your music might be great for, that you might actually have some value to give to them, okay? And maybe you don't get this particular fish. In most cases I've seen, when a lot of producers want a particular TV show or a particular, let's say, company to use their music for an ad campaign or something like that, chances are very slim that you actually get that one fish. But okay, so let's say you missed this one little fish, but you ended up gathering a whole bunch of other opportunities, right? There's a bunch of other healthy fish in the sea that you obviously shouldn't be just discounting because you haven't thought about them, or you haven't been thinking about making sure that your music can be useful for maybe different types of clients, okay? So what you should be doing instead of having these very, small little narrow goals is you should obviously use a net, right? So if you had a net, something like this, you could be catching dozens and dozens of opportunities with your music. So how exactly do you start to use a net rather than having a very specific goal? Well, a net for me has always meant that I follow a system in terms of my productivity, okay? I can't control necessarily which fish I catch, in the same way that fishermen that throw a net in the ocean, they can't control how many fish they're going to get. They can't control if it's going to be a healthy day or what type of fish they're going to get. They can basically just take their best guess and throw it in there, pull it up, and see what comes out, right? And what they do, though, just like what we do, is they have a nice system in place. So they have obviously a boat that runs well, that's not going to sink on them. They have a good crew that they can rely upon. They have nets that are, checked and making sure that everything's working. And so they basically use this system to continuously cast it out there and gather as much as they can. So for us, our system should be constant productivity, okay? And I mean on a daily basis. If you can get to the point where at least every day, for even if it's 10 minutes, even 30 minutes, a small amount of moving forward in your career every single day is a system, okay? Because you don't know where or which fish you're going to catch. You don't know which placements you're going to get. You can't control any of that. But what you can control, and what you can try to start working towards, is making sure that you're always continuously working on your skills, right? Getting better at your production, at your craft. And of course, the ultimate goal with that is to build up your catalog and to have many, many fishing nets out there, many fishing poles essentially out there, potentially catching you different types of placements throughout the process of your career, okay? Another great thing you can do to make sure that you have a net rather than just a fishing pole is when you get accepted by a library is you want to ask them, who are your clients? Which is another way of saying, what kind of fish do you have in your aquarium? I would like to craft a net to gather and catch as many of those opportunities as I possibly can. So it starts with you. You shouldn't be waiting for the library to tell you what kind of music you should be producing. You should always ask them, what are your clients? What are your needs coming up? What do you have coming up for the next couple of months? Maybe you can give me a list of everything that's going on in the next 6 months so I can just basically stay busy and constantly feed you guys new high quality content to serve your clients so that I can catch as many of those fish as possible. If you're a producer that gets accepted by a library and you go silent and you're not talking to them and you're not even asking what their current needs are and you just keep thinking, I got to get those reality TV show placements. I really want that car commercial placement. And you just keep kind of cranking away on that sound or that style or that approach that you really want. That's basically you going back to that fishing pole, right? And you're missing out on a lot of stuff. When I got started in sync licensing, I didn't have any idea the different types of content my music would get placed in. I knew that, TV shows were pretty much where I was going, but I didn't have an idea of a type of TV show. I didn't know if it should be reality or news or drama or crime or whatever it's going to be. And, looking back on my basically almost 13 years now in this business, my music has been used in pretty much every genre, every style, every type of content that's ever been on TVs ever that my music has been used in it. News, reality shows, drama, crimes, movies, films, documentaries, promos, commercials, you name it. Okay. Infomercials. Pretty much every type of music or every type of content that actually could be out there, my music in one way or another has been able to service it and get placed. So I have been really happy with the fact that my career has looked more like this. It's looked more like a net that I've been casting and catching whatever I feel that I can catch with my particular skills, with my particular needs. Of course, you don't want to just go, well, I don't do, let's say that you don't do hip hop music. The library says, hey, we need a lot of hip hop music for this client coming up. You might be able to dabble and give it a shot, but if it's not your core, skill that you're just not really competent on or you don't feel really confident in, it doesn't necessarily always make sense to just jump ship out of whatever your forte might have been. Let's say you're a rock producer. There still could be great opportunities for rock. So it doesn't necessarily mean you should be swapping out nets every time you see a new opportunity. You see a whole bunch of fish over there, like, oh, okay, I'm going to throw out the one that I was using and go for this completely different direction. As you get into this business later on, you will find opportunities to expand and to go into new genres. But in the beginning, I can't stress this enough, stay true to what you know, stay true to what you're good at, stay true to what you're the strongest at, because you want to be able to provide the best and the highest quality material out there. It's not going to do you any good to jump ship, go produce 10 hip hop tracks that are very subpar or really below average, and you wasted all that time making them because they don't get placed and they don't stand up next to the competition of the other hip hop tracks in a particular library's catalog, right? So obviously it's still staying true. So, finding that balance, finding what works for you, but definitely as strong as I can basically tell you guys, please start trying to incorporate a system of daily productivity, always cranking out those high quality tracks, building up your catalog, and of course, working with a high quality library with constant, great personal communication. That is a net, okay? That is a system. You're going to be gathering and catching a lot more fish than the individual specific tiny little goals that maybe some of you guys thought was the approach to succeed in this business. And I hope after this video, we can knock that out. We no longer do that. So thank you guys so much. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your feedback on this video in particular. So please leave those below. I love reading those.